On a bitterly cold Christmas Eve in 1945, the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, became the setting for a heartbreaking mystery, a case that remains unsolved to this day. George and Jennie Sodder, a respected Italian-American couple, celebrated the holiday season at home with their 10 children. After a joyful Christmas Eve spent opening presents and sharing family stories, the younger Sodder children asked their mother, Jennie, for permission to stay up late. She agreed, reminding them to lock the doors and turn off the lights before bed. Jennie went upstairs, leaving Maurice, Martha, Louie, Jennie, and Betty downstairs. Just after midnight, a strange phone call woke Jennie from sleep. She heard an unfamiliar voice and odd laughter in the background. Feeling uneasy, she hung up and noticed the downstairs lights were still on. Assuming the children had forgotten, she turned off the lights, locked the door, and returned to bed. About half an hour later, a loud noise startled her again, sounding like an object landing on the roof. Listening closely, she heard nothing else and drifted back to sleep. Suddenly, around 1:30 a.m., Jennie woke again, this time to the terrifying smell of smoke filling their home. Flames rapidly consumed the house. George and Jennie quickly grabbed 4 children sleeping upstairs and escaped the inferno, but 5 of their children were still inside. George desperately tried to rescue them, but every attempt ended in frustration. The ladder usually propped against the house had vanished. His trucks mysteriously refused to start. Even the telephone lines working just hours before were now dead. Horrified, they watched helplessly as their home burned completely to the ground. When dawn broke on Christmas morning, authorities combed through the smoldering remains expecting to find the children's remains. Yet strangely, they discovered nothing. Investigators initially concluded the intense fire had completely cremated their remains, but experts later explained that a house fire would rarely destroy bones so thoroughly. The Sodders soon began to suspect that something far more sinister had occurred. Memories of strange incidents flooded back. Weeks earlier, a stranger visited their home and warned George his house would go up in smoke. Another man had examined their electrical wiring, strangely insisting it posed a fire hazard, even though George recently had it professionally inspected. Were these incidents merely coincidences or signs of something darker? After the tragedy, reports surfaced from witnesses claiming to have spotted the missing children alive. One witness said she had seen the children in a passing car during the fire. Another reported seeing them at a hotel accompanied by suspicious adults. Yet none of these leads provided concrete answers. Determined to find the truth, George and Jennie erected a billboard near Fayetteville with photos of their lost children, offering a substantial reward for information. The billboard stood for decades, silently pleading for answers. Over the years, numerous leads and tips poured in, but each ultimately ended in disappointment. In 1968, over 20 years after the fire, Jennie received an anonymous letter containing a photograph of a young man strongly resembling their missing son, Louie. On the back was a cryptic note: "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, Lil boys, A90132 or 35. The family hired a private detective to investigate. The sender was never identified, and the lead vanished into another painful dead end. George Sodder passed away in 1969, followed by Jennie years later, both never giving up hope that their children had survived. They believed their children had been kidnapped, taken away under mysterious and possibly sinister circumstances. Despite exhaustive searches, investigations, and decades of unanswered questions, no trace of the 5 missing Sodder children was ever found. Today, the story endures as one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions. Did the Sodder children tragically perish in the fire, leaving no remains behind? Or were they abducted, their fates forever hidden by a dark conspiracy? Nearly 8 decades later, these questions linger on, echoing through history, as we continue to wonder what truly happened to the missing Sodder children on that tragic Christmas Eve night.